In global politics, few statements are as consequential as those from a US president. Recently, reports surfaced that President Trump considered, or even threatened, a direct strike against Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. This isn't just diplomatic posturing, it's a potential escalation that could ignite a major conflict in the Middle East. The idea of targeting another nation's head of state is a line rarely crossed, even in rhetoric. As we examine these claims, we must consider the context, the sources, and the possible consequences for millions. At its core, this is a story of brinkmanship between two powerful adversaries, with the fate of the region hanging in the balance. The controversy erupted when Dan Shapiro, the former U.S. ambassador to Israel and a respected voice in diplomatic circles, made a startling claim that quickly captured international attention. Shapiro alleged that President Trump had seriously considered ordering the assassination of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, a move that would have marked a dramatic escalation in U.S.-Iran tensions. According to Shapiro's account, which was soon echoed by a flurry of news reports and statements from anonymous officials, the Trump White House was actively weighing a strike on Iran's top leader. This was reportedly in response to Iran's violent crackdown on widespread protests, which had drawn global condemnation. As the story broke, the world watched anxiously. Tensions between the U.S. and Iran soared, and speculation mounted that a U.S. military strike could be imminent, sending shockwaves through diplomatic and security communities worldwide. In response, President Trump publicly denied the assassination plan, instead claiming that he had actually prevented such an operation. He insisted that he refused an Israeli proposal to target Khamenei, positioning himself as a restraining influence. This statement added a new layer of complexity to the unfolding narrative, suggesting that while the idea may have been discussed at the highest levels, Trump ultimately acted to hold back more aggressive action. With these conflicting accounts, the public was left to sift through a tangled web of claims, denials, and counterclaims, unsure of what truly transpired behind closed doors. What remains clear, however, is that the threat was taken seriously at the highest levels of government, highlighting just how close the world may have come to a major international crisis. To truly understand today's crisis between the United States and Iran, we must look back at a long and complicated history of animosity, mistrust, and missed opportunities. The roots of this hostility stretch back decades, shaping the tense relationship we see today. Once close allies, during the Cold War, U.S.-Iran relations dramatically collapsed after the 1979 Islamic Revolution. The revolution ousted the U.S.-backed Shah, a symbol of Western influence, and brought anti-Western clerics to power, fundamentally changing Iran's direction and its relationship with the West. The Iran hostage crisis soon followed, with 52 Americans held for 444 days inside the U.S. Embassy in Tehran. This traumatic event shocked the American public, and cemented a deep sense of mutual distrust and resentment that has never fully healed. In the decades since, the U.S. has consistently opposed Iran's nuclear ambitions and accused Tehran of sponsoring terrorism and destabilizing the Middle East. Meanwhile, Iran views U.S. actions as attempts to dominate the region and undermine its sovereignty, fueling a cycle of suspicion and confrontation. Tensions escalated further in 2018, when President Trump withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal and launched a maximum pressure campaign, reversing years of diplomatic progress and reigniting old hostilities. The U.S. imposed harsh new sanctions, isolating Iran economically and making daily life more difficult for ordinary Iranians, while deepening the standoff between the two nations. For many in Iran, these actions only confirmed long-held suspicions that the U.S. could never be trusted, reinforcing anti-American sentiment among the public and leadership alike. The result is a relationship defined by suspicion, escalation, and repeated confrontation, one where both sides remain locked in a cycle of hostility, with no easy resolution in sight. Trump's Iran strategy combined crippling sanctions with aggressive rhetoric. He demanded Iran abandon its nuclear program, halt missile development, and stop supporting proxy militias. Publicly, Trump called for regime change, using social media and speeches to threaten Iran's leadership directly. The U.S. military presence in the region grew, signaling that threats were backed by force. Trump claimed credit for halting executions in Iran, framing it as a victory of pressure over violence. His approach, escalate, pressure, claim wins, and always keep the military option visible. Iran's leaders responded with defiance, warning that any attack on Khamenei would mean all-out war. Iranian state media broadcast threats, including depictions of violence against Trump, to project strength. Foreign Minister Araghchi hinted at Iran's readiness for asymmetric warfare and proxy attacks. Israel, long wary of Iran, supported Trump's pressure campaign but reportedly urged caution due to its own vulnerabilities. European allies called for restraint, closing embassies, and urging diplomacy. Back-channel talks with groups like Hezbollah aimed to prevent wider conflict. High-level meetings in Washington and Jerusalem underscored the gravity of the standoff. A U.S. strike targeting Iran's supreme leader would almost certainly trigger a devastating war, one with consequences that would ripple far beyond the region. We could see immediate missile attacks, widespread regional chaos, and a global economic crisis as oil prices skyrocket and markets tumble. Thousands of lives would be at risk. U.S. troops stationed in the Middle East, local civilians caught in the crossfire, and even neighboring countries. Israel in particular would likely face swift and severe retaliation, escalating the conflict even further. The entire region could spiral into a prolonged conflict, potentially far worse than the wars in Iraq or Syria, with millions displaced and cities left in ruins. In such a volatile climate, verifying facts becomes not just important, but essential. Propaganda, misinformation and rumors spread rapidly, clouding judgment and fueling fear. Both Trump's bold claims and Iran's heated threats serve their own political interests, making it increasingly difficult for the public to discern what's real and what's rhetoric. The stakes could not be higher. A single miscalculation, a misunderstood message, or a hasty decision could unleash a catastrophe with global consequences. As this story continues to unfold, it's vital that we demand transparency, support diplomatic efforts, and remain vigilant against the forces that seek to divide and mislead us. In a world teetering on the brink, facts and truth are our strongest defense against disaster, and our best hope for a more peaceful future. As the world's attention remains fixed on the Middle East, a quieter but equally significant transformation is underway in the Indo-Pacific. Japan, a nation long known for its pacifist constitution, is making waves with a bold new chapter in naval innovation, the unveiling of its advanced aircraft carrier design. Japan's latest carrier, the JS Kaga, represents a dramatic leap in military technology. Originally launched as a helicopter destroyer, the Kaga is now undergoing extensive modifications to operate F-35B stealth fighter jets, placing Japan squarely among the world's most formidable sea powers. Naval experts point to the carrier's state-of-the-art radar systems, reinforced flight deck, and integrated command networks as clear signals of Japan's intent to project power far beyond its shores. The move has ignited intense debate among defense analysts. Some see it as a prudent response to the growing assertiveness of China's navy and the shifting balance of power in the Asia-Pacific. Others warn that Japan's modernization could spark a regional arms race, raising the stakes in an already volatile maritime environment. Defense news outlets have been quick to highlight the broader implications. Japan's carrier not only enhances its ability to defend its remote islands, but also strengthens its role within alliances such as the US-Japan Security Pact. The vessel's cutting-edge design, featuring electromagnetic catapults, drone integration, and advanced missile defenses, signals a new era in naval warfare, where versatility and technology trump sheer size. For military strategists, the Kaga's transformation marks a pivotal moment in the evolution of sea power. The carrier's multi-mission capabilities, from anti-submarine warfare to humanitarian assistance, reflect Japan's commitment to maintaining stability in the Indo-Pacific. At the same time, world military news outlets are watching closely as Japan's neighbors, particularly China and South Korea, recalibrate their own naval strategies in response. Looking ahead, the future of naval warfare will be shaped by such innovations. As Japan modernizes its fleet, the global naval balance continues to shift, underscoring the enduring importance of advanced carriers in projecting influence and deterring conflict. In the high-stakes chessboard of the Asia-Pacific, Japan's rising sun at sea is a clear signal. The contest for maritime supremacy is only just beginning.